Hey guys, and welcome back to this After Effects training course. In the last lesson we discussed animating a text layer from the top right to the bottom left using 2 keyframes. In this lesson we will be digging a little deeper into keyframe animation. Okay, we can see that we have a keyframe at the beginning and a keyframe at the end. We can scrub through this roughly in the middle, and the text is in the middle roughly, but there is no keyframe there because it's just animating between the two. If we wanted this to, for example, start at the top right and do more of a curve to get to the bottom, the way we do that is by clicking the text and then bringing it up like that. And you can see just by creating 3 keyframes we can create a much more interesting curvy flow. So let's see what that does. So let's do that. It goes up and then it heads back down. Okay, so we can click on this one or we can click on this one and it'll change which keyframe we are working on. So for now we will click on this one, and you can see that we can actually click on this long line here, which will change the curvature of the animation on the one side, and we can do the same thing on the other side. And we can kind of fine tune how we want to animate this. I'm going to undo that to keep it how it was. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add some rotation to this. So let's bring our timeline cursor to the beginning again, to the start of our composition. We will click on rotation. We will add a keyframe. It hasn't done anything yet because our rotation is still set to 0. We've just created a keyframe at 0 rotation. Okay, so let's go to our center here, and a good way to know that you're on this keyframe is by looking over here. It'll be blue. When you're off of it, it doesn't light up. When you go over it, it does light up. Okay, so we click on the bottom layer here. Okay, so now we will go to rotation while it's selected and click and drag and turn it upside down to 180 degrees. Then at the very end, by pressing end on your keyboard, we will continue rotating until we hit 360 degrees, which means we've completed a full circle. So if we go back to home and scrub through it, you'll notice that it'll do one entire full rotation along our animation keyframe points. Now this can be done to pretty much everything in After Effects. Almost everything has the ability to add keyframes to it. So for example, scale, we can turn the scale on. We can set it to 125. We can go to the beginning, place it back to 100. We can go to our end by pressing end on the keyboard, sending it back to 100, pressing enter. And then if we go through it now, it scales a little bit and then goes back down. So to exaggerate that, we'll go here. We'll make sure we're on the keyframe. If we're here and we do it, it'll create a second keyframe, which we do not want because that will create bad animation. It could be choppy or it just won't look good. So what we can do is we can click on the keyframe and click delete on our keyboard, or we can just simply Command Z to undo. Let's put our cursor on top of the keyframes we have in the center, make sure they're lit up. That means we are above them. And to exaggerate it, we'll click and drag and make it pretty big. We'll go home on the keyboard and then we'll click and drag, and you can see it gets much larger and then it goes smaller again. So very smooth animation all the way from the beginning to the end.